Sure.
Or that sort of.
Sure. So today's fuels, today's pump gas sucks. Okay, I'm just gonna put it in just general out there. Most commercial guys, most city guys, yourself, I mean, probably it's really not an issue that you're gonna cycle gas in more than a 30-day period. Pump gas itself out of the pump, you know, your Chevron, your Shells, wherever you get your gas, only lasts about 30 days. After 30 days, it starts to deteriorate. Okay, and basically then we start having issues with the equipment. Okay, so Echo machines itself, and I think primarily a lot of your higher end manufacturers require a minimum of 89 octane. So what is that? What is octane? I mean, octane, we see 87, we see 89, we see 92. What is octane, you know? And octane is basically how much pressure will that gas take? You know, it'll take more pressure at the higher octanes for, you know, and then it'll ignite and run properly, okay? So what happens is these machines, basically think of these new emission engines as basically a NASCAR engine, okay? They're designed to run a certain way. Out of the box, an Echo is a quality FD rated engine oil. We'll talk about that. 89 octane or higher or oil or gasoline. Sorry, and you know, proper air filtration maintenance and others. But what happens is your air maintenance is basically when you're running, you know, all the proper stuff for your machine as recommended by the manufacturer. You know, your air maintenance, your air margin is here. Okay. Well, a lot of guys don't want to spend the extra 10 cents, whatever, 12 cents, whatever it is for 89 octane, so they run 87. Well, your margin just went to here of air, okay? Now all of a sudden they don't want to run an FD quality, they don't want to run a quality engine oil, so they'll run Joe Schmo's, I say it's FD rated engine oil, but it's not, so now your margin of air is here, okay? So now, we all know maintenance, a lot of guys don't like to do maintenance, they don't like to change their air filters, so now your margin of error is here. So now, those three effects you throw into the machine. Now these machines out of the factory, now they run very lean, so they run hot. So you start adding all those factors into these machines, and this is where you start getting premature failures of your engines. Okay, you start getting, you know, stuck rings, unburnt fuel, unburnt air mixture inside your engine. You know, seizing. All sorts of stuff goes wrong, you know. Proper maintenance of these machines is so vital now. In the old days, for the guys, you know, who've been doing this for 20 plus years now, the old days of the blue smoke coming out of the exhaust, okay? Those days, we don't see those anymore. We don't see machines running blue smoke anymore. Those days, those margins, I mean, it was very wide. I mean, you could run, you know, that's when the days we had 16 to 1, 32 to 1, 40 to 1 mix, and we had a lot of margin of error. Again, you know, with these new emission engines, the margin of error is so slim that you start adding a lot of factors, you know, the not running the proper fuel, not running proper oil, not maintaining your equipment, your margin just, it shrinks, okay? So we want to make sure that we know what the machine is. And again, we go back to our manual, because you open up your manual and it'll tell you, you know, what the recommendations is for it, okay? So every manufacturer is different. I'm just going to tell you what Echo has. You know, like I said, it's 89 octanes, FD rated engine oil, and we all talk about what's FD rated engine oil. Basically, what it is we all know SAE for our engine oil for our vehicles. Okay. There's also an equivalent. JASO is the equivalent, the Japanese equivalent to SAE motor oil. So basically, there's basically 4 ratings: an A, B, C, and D. D being the current highest rating engine oil there is. Okay. Echo recommends that you run an FD rated engine oil. Echo doesn't recommend that you have to use Echo oil. Okay. You can use There's a lot of different manufacturers out there that have FD rated as long as it's an FD rated engine.
Can you put it up to our viewers?
Yes.
Camera so that. Thanks, sir.
Yep. So here you're going to see an FD rated. One thing you're going to want to watch out for is a lot of manufacturers say their oil is FD rated engine oil, but if it doesn't have that certification number on there, it's not FD rated. Okay, that's just a marketing tactic. So it's one thing to look at. You want to make sure that certification number is there. So us, Echo, other manufacturers, we pay extra money to have that oil certified at that level, and it has to have a certification number printed on the bottle. Okay, so if you don't see that bottle, you see an FD, say it's FD rated, but if you don't, it's not a certification number on there, it's not FD rated. Okay.
It's really important that we understand that from a keeping our equipment vital to how we need it.
Absolutely. You know, there's not. I mean, these oils itself. There's not a lot of actual petroleum oil in there anymore. Okay, it's a lot of additives and a lot of packages. You know, or like for example, our Red Armor oil, probably probably the best oil out there on the market today. Okay, Dave came out with, you know, Echo came out with this Red Armor oil about a couple years ago, and it's like magic. And what it does, it basically, from the use of non-certified oils, bad air filtration, bad fuel, you know, you get a lot of buildup on your cylinders and your pistons. You know, you get carbon buildup. The Red Armor itself will actually start to remove that carbon buildup, the varnish, you know, the extra buildup of upburnt fuel and unburnt oils. That will actually remove that from the cylinder piston, which will help your machine run cooler, better, and then extend the longevity of life of your engine.
Now, from a chainsaw point of view, you just got to make sure that you use the proper oil and the oil on the chain.
Correct.
It could just be chain oil. Doesn't have to
Right. Basically, on your chain oil, you want to use something that that's tacky. Okay. The old days, I think they used 30 weight oil, and I think there's still some manufacturers out there, some cheaper low end bar and chain oil that's basically just 30 weight oil. Okay. If it doesn't have a tackiness, a stickiness to it, it's not sticking to the bar. It's not sticking to the chain. Basically, again, you know, we're driving that thing at 60 miles an hour. Or 10,000 RPMs, that chain's moving fast, and all you're doing is spitting that oil off. There's no lubrication being added to that chain and bar. Okay, so you always want to make, you know, quality. Anything that's quality, of course, we're going to pay extra money for it. Okay, but yet again, it's going to help you extend the life of your machine, help extend the life of your bar, your chains, and all that good stuff. You know, you're not over revving or you're not overworking that engine, causing a bunch of heat. You know. We go back to emissions, you know, heat. I mean, hey, that's a killer. I mean, their machines are running hot as it is. You start adding more heat, plus the heat of the outside, you know, in the hot summer days, 100 plus degrees. It doesn't take much, and you're starting to cook. You're starting to cook machines. Okay, so one thing Echo does have, this kind of makes it simple for a lot of landscapers, commercial guys, city guys, anything like that, is our, you know, Repower kits. This is just general stuff: air filter, spark plug, fuel filter, stuff you can keep in your truck. You know, you're gonna go out, you're gonna blow for 8 hours a day for all week long. Okay. You know, again, we talk about how much air these machines suck in. You know, on a daily basis, even sometimes depending on your application, it could be every half an hour you should be checking that air filter. Okay, and checking that air filter, I know it's kind of it's something we all don't want to do in the morning, you know. And some are easier to get to, but as others. So every morning, what you want to do is you want to make sure you want to check your air filter. So there's your air filter. The 770 also comes with a pre-filter, so you always want to make sure you check that. And you can see in there we've caught some debris in there, and that's what the pre-filter is doing, is catching some of that larger debris in there. Okay. So every day you want to check your filter. That's number one. Pull it off. Check it out. Just go ahead and swipe it out. Most run a pleated style air filter like this. Just visually check it. If you see some chunks in there, just take it. Find yourself a table or something like that, and just pound on it. Just remove those large debris.
As good as that.
Yeah, good as that. And then reset it. You kind of have to use a little bit of common sense when it comes to air filters. Like I said, if you know you're going to use it and you're going to be in dirty, dusty conditions, you might want to check it every hour, every half an hour. Okay. We have Arizona. Arizona itself has a very fine powder dust. It's almost like a talcum powder, and that thing just eats machines. They get those haboobs that come through and just cover the cities with dust, and the guys are out there for a week, out there blowing. They check air filters probably every half an hour. They're out there. That's how much we're on them, and we tell them, hey, if you want to help extend the life of your engine and your machines, you got to check your air filters. If you allow dirt to get in there, it's just, like I said, it's that margin of error, and it just starts a domino effect of premature failure on your equipment. Okay, so Repower kits, as we talk, they have filter kits. We also have fuel line kits, which is basically all the fuel lines, a fuel filter, a grommet. Pop the old one off, disconnect the two hoses from your carburetor, pop your new one in, connect the two hoses, and you're off and running. It's a great fix, great thing to have when you're out in the field, because we may look good when when we pick it up in the morning, but when we go out and start using it, we notice that got the grommet's leaking or whatnot. It's something simple that you can just take 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and fix it, and off you're running, and you don't have a down machine and have to take it back to the shop and get it fixed. So it's just another helpful tool that we offer for you guys to have stashed in the vehicle. Okay, so any questions on general maintenance?
Yes. We have equipment that we don't use all the time. When we leave fuel in it, is that bad for the equipment?
It is bad for it.
You said 30 days.
30 days.
Is there something like fuel stabilizer? Should we use fuel stabilizer? Or should we just empty the equipment out?
My recommendation is to empty it out. Okay. There's two things you can do. And I don't. You can either if you know you're not going to use that equipment for a long period of time, 2 to 3 months down the road, you're not going to use it. My recommendation, yes, take it out. Just get rid of it, and then run the machine dry and then store it. You can use, most people have kind of switched to, and is the fuel in the can now. That is, basically a non-ethanol. There's no ethanol inside that fuel. Most manufacturers anywhere from a 92 to 94 octane. It's got about a 1 year life once you open that can. I personally put all that into my saws, because the saws itself kind of sit in between periods when I'm not using or demonstrating them. So I recommend it for that. I recommend it for saws, because saws don't suck up a lot of the, they don't use a ton of fuel compared to a blower, which is, a half a gallon, or yeah, it's a half a gallon. Yeah, half a gallon. So, it starts getting expensive at $8 to $10 a quart for that stuff. You're talking $20 to fill that thing up just to let it sit for a few months. So I recommend that for smaller stuff, smaller equipment. But in the larger stuff, I recommend, yes, just taking it out, running it dry, and then store it in a cool, dry place. Yeah. Yes.
So when I first started, how we would clean an air filter, right? We would knock it out, we poured gas on it, clean it out, and put some oil on it. Can you explain why that's bad and what?
Well, the oil, the gas itself will basically just deteriorate the elements. We don't recommend that you oil your pre-filters. Some manufacturers do. It basically, what it does is just it basically holds that finer material in there. When you oil it. Really, the best way to, and not so much on pleated air filters. on your felt filters, the best way to do it is actually with just soapy water. Use soapy water. You don't want to take an air hose to it. You don't want to break up the fibers inside this felt. I see a lot of guys go in there and they put that air filter right next to it, and all you're doing is you're starting to break those fibers. Okay, now what you're doing is you're putting more holes inside that air filter. Now you're going to allow more dust and dirt to get into your engine. Okay, so soapy water, rinse it off. You can use a little toothbrush. You want to scrub it. Just kind of air dry it out, set it off, and let it air dry. Okay. Your pleated filters, you can't get them wet. They're paper. You can blow them off a little bit. Use a little bit of light air to kind of clean out the crevices. But once they get clogged, it's basically toss them.
What I was told is you hold it up and you can see.
Correct. So this one, for example, these new style, these double felts are, impossible to do. Okay. I don't think I have one, but yes, a standard felt filter. That's the white. And you actually, yes, if you take that and you put it up into a light or anything like that, you can actually see where that dirt's built up and where it's clogged up, and you can see the spots in there. So it's another quick tool, another quick check you can do. Like again, Echo's they switched some of their bigger displacement CC engines to this double felt to help really protect. So it kind of makes it difficult to use that trick.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a lot of complaints about it, but yet again, we're here we want to protect the engine. So again, there you're just going to have to visually check it, wash it, and set it off there. Okay. So any other questions on general maintenance? Do you guys do your own maintenance, or you guys have a mechanic that does it, or you do some? Okay.
Anything else occasionally just
Send to the shop and have them do it. Yeah.
I do have one handler. Every time I turn it on and I go to hit the throttle, like bog itself out and cut itself out and die. Unless I play with the throttle, it'll stay on.
Yeah. That could be, it could be a combination of things. It could be as simple as a plugged fuel filter. A lot of people don't look at fuel filters. Fuel filters itself is, it's the felt outside. You got your felt outside, but they don't recognize. Forgot my knife. I'm gonna take this part real quick. So some of these filters actually have a ceramic insert inside this one. This one itself has a very, very fine screen inside that housing. Okay, so yes, the felt may be looking good, but if you got debris that's already sucked through and started to block this the screen inside of it, you're gonna have basically a lack of fuel getting to the engine. It could be it could be a port inside the carburetor that's plugged. It could be a handful of things. That itself, it's one of the things you gotta take it to the shop, have them look at it. More than likely it's probably it's a fuel related issue. And like I said, it could be that. It could be a pinhole in the fuel lines. It's sucking fuel or sucking air. So it's one of those things you just got to go through the steps of checking it. But
also from a maintenance point of view, how some of the pistons will run out. At one point would you recommend just replace the whole entire equipment as opposed to continue to buy more?
That's based off an individual. Each customer is going to make that own decision.
Yeah, okay.
We based it off how we do it is 75% of the value of the machine before we replace it. Okay, it's a hard one. That's a hard one. Like I said, that's based on that's an individual choice, individual. What they decide is how much money they want to invest into that machine. So, the big dollars there is, of course, your engine, your short block. A lot of guys short block them. This retails for $500. $499. A short block's upwards of, close to $300. So, yeah, you're saving a couple $100. But how many times do you want to do it? So, again, if we maintain our equipment, we make sure we got fresh fuel. We make sure we got, the proper oil mix, and the filtration is the big one. We make sure we properly maintain that filter. We can help extend the life of these machines. Okay, probably filtration is probably the biggest. We try to educate people on air filtration maintenance. They don't do it. I had a situation here last week where I had three blowers. The guy was complaining. He says, I'm doing my filtration maintenance, I'm blah blah doing this, and he blew up his engine. Well, I went to the store, I looked at the machines. Inside this housing here, I had mountains of dirt buildup in there. So how can you tell me you're doing your maintenance if I got buildup, a half an inch of dirt buildup inside my inbox? You're sucking fuel, you're not doing maintenance. And maintenance is not a warrantable issue. So, we preach, repeat, but, it's one of those things that, a lot of people are hard-headed, and all we can do is try to educate and try to get it going. Yes, sir.
I would run into issues where there would be a lot of dirt in the fuel tank itself. Guys not cleaning their gas tanks and stuff like that. Did you ever think about having like a screen mesh right underneath the cap? Anything like that, so that would catch?
That's I think it's a good point.
Yeah.
I'll send up the ladder.
Yeah.
I'm not an engineer.
Right. So what I started doing was having coffee filters and putting them in the funnels, and so the guys can pour, and it kind of helped.
Right.
But I would think like some kind of a mesh or something like that.
Right.
Just something to think about. I don't know.
Yeah. That's one of those things. Yeah, you're gonna have to. A lot of guys get creative out there. I see a lot of stuff out there, creations. Coffee filter, anything that.
Some kind of cheap thing because they're gonna lose it.
Right.
What are your best creativities out there that you've seen that you could probably pass on the information?
One more time on that question, I'm sorry.
What is one of the best creativities that
Something
you've
like-
seen in one of the machines
Oh.
that you're like, oh man, we should do something like that, and you may want to pass on that information?
The best one, I wouldn't say it's creativity. I think it's more of a general rule is having one guy mix all the fuels. Okay, having one guy set, I'm mixing all the fuel for the daily, for every day. Okay, I'm gonna mix it. I know what's mixed. I'm not gonna mix it heavy. I'm not, Group A, who still has a half a gas, have a little bit of gas left in there, throws extra fuel in there, and then does the proper mix. Then we start getting improper mixes. Okay, we don't want to run it heavy. We don't want to run it lean. So we want to run it perfect. We don't want to have that extra oil buildup in there, which causes carbon buildup, block, and then that leads down to errors down the road with plugged exhaust and everything like that. So that's one thing that I see. The guys who do that, the large landscapers who do that, have that one dedicated guy that does all the fuel mix, the daily fuel mix, are the ones who are having the great success with with not having machines premature failure on them. Because that's the one that I see. I mean, I can't think of anything else, that's just pops in my head as but that would be the one that I would say